I paid $30,000 for my daughter's wedding. She replaced me with her stepfather, uninvited me, so I pulled the plug and watched the meltdown on camera. Hey everyone. Before we kick off today's video, I've got a favor to ask. We've noticed our channel isn't getting as much love lately, and subscribing is one of the easiest ways you can help us out. It's quick, free, and it means we can keep bringing you awesome content. Your support really means a lot, so let's work together to keep this channel growing. Thanks a bunch. Now, let's dive into the video. Oh man, let me try to share this story without completely losing it again. I'm still pretty ticked off, honestly. My daughter, CIA, who's 24, got engaged to this guy, Derek, last year, and I was over the moon. She seemed really stoked, and I thought, finally. Something awesome happening in the family after all the chaos with the divorce and everything. To give you a bit of background, I split from CIA's mom, Abigail, about 8 years ago. It was a total disaster because Abigail was cheating with this dude, Jones, who she ended up marrying. CIA was furious with me for a long time because Abigail fed her this line that I ruined the family, was controlling, and all this nonsense that wasn't true. But you know how kids are, they believe what they want. I figured she'd eventually come around, and she sort of did. We started chatting again when she turned 21. She'd call sometimes, we'd have dinner once a month maybe, and things seemed to be on the up and up. I was thrilled because CIA's my only kid, and no matter what, I love her to bits, even if she's put me through the ringer. So when CIA got engaged, I told her I wanted to cover the wedding costs because that's what dads do, right? She was so happy, kept thanking me, hugging me, and saying she knew I'd always be there. I thought, hey, maybe we're finally in a good place again. We started planning, and she had all these big dreams. I just wanted her to have the perfect day. So I said yes to everything, thinking this was my chance to show her how much I love her and maybe make up for lost time. The venue alone was $8,000, catering was $12,000 for 200 people, flowers were $3,500, the dress was $2,800, and the photographer was $2,200. It all added up to about $30,000, but I didn't even flinch. CIA was over the moon, always sending me pics and texting about how it was going to be the best day ever. I paid for everything up front since vendors needed deposits. CIA said it'd be easier if I handled the money, so she could focus on the fun stuff like planning. Everything was going smoothly, and CIA and I were talking more than ever. She was including me in decisions and asking for my opinion. I felt like we were really bonding. I was so proud of the amazing woman she'd become and couldn't wait to walk her down the aisle and have our father-daughter dance. But then, about 6 weeks before the wedding, CIA started acting all weird and distant. When I'd call, she'd be short with me. She kept saying everything was taken care of, and I didn't need to worry. I had a bad feeling, but told myself I was just being paranoid. Then, 4 weeks before the wedding, I was supposed to meet with her and the planner, but she canceled last minute, saying she'd handle it herself. Whenever I reached out, her texts got shorter and colder. Despite all this, I tried to convince myself it was just wedding stress and everything would be back to normal after. 2 weeks before the wedding, I went to check on her at her place since she hadn't called back in days. Derek answered the door looking super uncomfortable, and when I asked for CIA, he said she was unwell and couldn't see anyone. I knew he was lying, but didn't want to make a scene, so I left and kept trying to reach her. The next day, CIA finally called but sounded so different, cold and formal. She dropped the bomb that she and Derek wanted a more intimate wedding with just close family and friends. I was like, okay, we can trim the guest list. But then she said something that felt like a punch to the gut. Since her mom and Jones had been more involved with her lately, and since Jones had been like a father figure for the past 8 years, they thought it'd be better if he walked her down the aisle. I was speechless, felt like someone knocked the wind out of me. I asked what she meant, and she just said she appreciated what I'd done financially, but they wanted the day to be about the family who'd been there for them. Ouch, right? She said Jones had been more of a father to her than I ever was and thought it'd be more meaningful if he gave her away. I lost it, honestly. I started yelling, asking her how she could do this to me after everything. I told her I paid for the whole wedding, I'm her real dad, and she can't just replace me with the guy who broke up our family. She yelled back that money doesn't make you a father, accused me of abandoning her when she needed me most, claiming Jones was there for her. We screamed at each other for what felt like forever. She said I missed all her important moments, graduation, birthdays, and that they were just excuses because her mom always blocked me. But she wasn't buying it, saying if I wanted to be there, I'd have found a way. It stung when she said I was just a checkbook, and that really hurt. I mean, I thought we were reconnecting, and she wanted me in her life. But, she made it clear. So, she made up her mind, Jones was gonna walk her down the aisle, and if I wasn't cool with it, I could just skip the wedding. I was like, fine, maybe I won't come. And she was all, good, I don't want you there anyway. Then she hung up, and I just sat there, staring at my phone, totally shocked. A whole week went by and I didn't hear squat from her. I kept hoping she'd call to apologize or something, but nope, nothing. Then, Derek called me up. Apparently, she wanted him to let me know I was officially uninvited, and Jones would be taking over all the dad duties. I asked Derek if he was serious, and he said yeah, she didn't want any drama. I reminded Derek that I had footed the bill for the entire wedding. He got all quiet and then said she considered it a wedding gift and appreciated it, but still didn't want me there. I was so mad I couldn't even speak, so I hung up. I spent the rest of that day pacing around, trying to wrap my head around how everything went so wrong. That night I couldn't sleep, just replaying everything, trying to figure out why she hated me so much. All I could think about was how I blew a ton of cash and had been so pumped to be part of her big day, only for her to throw me away like trash. By 3 a.m., I was pacing my living room, absolutely fuming. The next day, I called my lawyer about getting my money back. Unfortunately, he said it was a gift, so that wouldn't be easy. He suggested I try the vendors to see if any would offer refunds since the wedding was 2 weeks away. I called them up, most couldn't refund me since they'd already ordered everything, but a few were open to talking. That's when it hit me, I didn't have to just take it from her. For days, I was getting angrier, thinking about how she said Jones was more of a father to her and reduced me to a checkbook. So, I decided to cancel everything. I went back to the vendors, and instead of asking for refunds, I told them to call everything off. They freaked out since the wedding was 10 days away, but I insisted, showing them the receipts and contracts in my name. Eventually, even the venue caved after I threatened to sue, but they kept half my deposit. By the end of the week, I'd canceled everything. I lost about $8,000 on deposits, but at that point, I didn't care, I was just so mad. I kept everything a secret from her, wanting her to find out on the day. It sounds harsh, but I was hurt and wanted her to know that actions have consequences. You can't treat people like dirt and expect them to bankroll your life. The week before the wedding was rough. I debated calling her, wondering if I was making a mistake. But every time, I'd remember her calling me a checkbook, and the anger would flare up again. 3 days before the wedding, her friend Jessica called, saying she was freaking out and asked if I was coming. I told Jessica what happened, and she was confused because Sia had been saying it was my fault we weren't talking. For a moment, I wondered if Derek lied or if there was a misunderstanding, but after remembering our fight, I knew what she had said was real. The day before the wedding, I was a wreck. I kept checking my phone, hoping maybe she'd call. I even thought about calling the vendors to set up everything again, but I didn't have the cash or the clarity, I was still so mad. That evening, the venue owner called to confirm the wedding was off because everyone was still making plans. I told him, yep, it was cancelled, and he should tell her to confirm. About an hour later, my phone rang, it was her. She was crying and screaming, asking what I'd done. I answered calmly, explaining that since I wasn't invited, I saw no reason to foot the bill. She was sobbing, saying it was all a misunderstanding and of course I was invited. So, she really needed me there. I brought up the idea of Jones walking her down the aisle, and she mentioned it was just something they were considering, but no final calls had been made. I pointed out that Derek had specifically told me I wasn't invited and that Jones was stepping into all the father roles. CIA said Derek got it wrong, and she never said I couldn't come to her wedding. We ended up arguing for another hour, with CIA crying and begging me to call the vendors to straighten things out. She apologized, said she loved me, and admitted she needed her dad at her wedding. I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was just freaking out because her wedding fell apart and was trying to rope me into fixing it. I told CIA it was too late to patch things up and maybe she'd learn not to treat people poorly. She yelled, calling me selfish and cruel, saying I was ruining the biggest day of her life. I fired back that she messed it up when she decided I wasn't fit to be her dad and hung up. That night, CIA called me nearly 20 times. I didn't pick up and deleted all her tearful voicemails without listening. Woke up on her wedding day feeling sick, wondering if I'd made a huge mistake. But then I remembered all the stuff CIA said about me just being a checkbook and Jones being more of a dad, and got mad all over again, thinking I did the right thing. Around noon, I got curious about the scene at the venue and asked the owner if I could check out the security footage. He said it was a strange ask, but since I was technically the original client, he set up a live feed for me. Honestly, I don't know why I wanted to see it, but I guess curiosity got the better of me. He also mentioned CIA had covered the rest of the payment to keep the venue open for the day. So there I was, in my living room, watching this empty venue while 200 guests showed up expecting a wedding. It felt like watching a movie, surreal, terrible, yet satisfying. Guests arrived around 1 p.m., looking confused with no decorations, staff, or wedding signs in sight. They kept checking their phones and chatting nervously. I felt a weird mix of satisfaction and guilt seeing it all go down. CIA showed up around 1:30 in her wedding dress, looking frantic as she talked to dear Eric and her bridesmaids. She was gesturing wildly, clearly trying to figure out a plan. Part of me felt sorry for her sheer panic and desperation, but mostly I felt justified. That's what happens when you treat your dad like crap. I watched her run around, trying to talk to staff and call vendors, hoping they could still provide services. But everything had been cancelled, vendors had other commitments, and you can't just restart a $30,000 wedding on the day. More guests continued to arrive, dressed up and ready for a party, only to find chaos and CIA having a meltdown. People tried comforting her while others awkwardly stood around, confused. Some guests left after about an hour of waiting. The worst part was seeing her dress get dirty as she ran around outside, the ground muddy from the rain the previous night. By 3 p.m., her once beautiful white dress was a mess, and she looked like she'd been through hell. Abigail and Jones arrived around 2 p.m., attempting to calm her down, but there wasn't much they could do. You can't pull a wedding out of thin air. I wondered if CIA told them I was behind the disaster. By 4 p.m., most guests had left, leaving only CIA and dear Eric, the wedding party, and some family members standing around in the empty venue, with CIA in her muddy dress, still crying. I watched as dear Eric tried to comfort her, but she kept pushing him away, clearly having a breakdown. I eventually turned off the feed and sat in my quiet house, wondering about what I'd done. That night, CIA texted me saying, "I will never forgive you for this." I replied, "Good. Now you know how it feels." And that was it. It's been 3 weeks with no word from her, and I don't expect any. People keep asking if I regret it, and honestly, I don't know. Part of me is glad I stood my ground, but I also know I might have irreparably damaged my relationship with my daughter. Was my revenge worth it? My sister thinks I should have been the bigger person and gone to the wedding, hoping to work things out later. But CIA seemed clear about not wanting me there and just using me for money. My brother thinks CIA got a deserved reality check about treating people with respect. But I doubt she learned anything beyond thinking I'm a cruel jerk for ruining her wedding. Some friends say I went too far by canceling everything the day before, suggesting I could have handled it differently. But talking didn't work with CIA, and she made up her mind about me. I keep reflecting on whether I did the right thing, swinging between feeling justified and like a monster who wrecked his daughter's wedding. So, I'm caught up in this whirlwind of feelings, spite and hurt all mixed together. Honestly, I can't even figure out which one I should be feeling, or if it's possible to feel both at the same time. I'm not sure if I'm the bad guy here or if my daughter CIA is, or maybe we both share the blame. What I do know, though, is that our relationship might be kaput for good. Funny thing is, I'm not sure I even care anymore. I'm just so worn out from being hurt by her. I'm done trying to earn her love and respect when it's clear she thinks I'm not worthy of it. So, here's the deal, Reddit. Am I the jerk for calling off my daughter's wedding after she told me I couldn't come and then wanted to replace me with her stepdad? Did she have it coming for treating me like trash? Update: wow, I didn't expect this to blow up like it did. I've been going through all your comments and, honestly, I'm blown away by how split everyone is on this. I figured everyone would call me out, but it turns out a lot of people think CIA had it coming, which actually makes me feel a bit better about what went down. Some folks have asked for more details on what happened between CIA and me over the years. Let me clear this up, I wasn't some deadbeat dad who ditched his kid. That's not it at all. When Abigail and I divorced, CIA was 16 and really pissed about the whole thing. Abigail was feeding her lies about me, turning her against me. Every time I reached out to see or talk to CIA, Abigail would make it hard or impossible. I legally had joint custody, but Abigail always scheduled stuff on my weekends with CIA, then told CIA I was being unreasonable. She started believing I didn't care because Abigail was poisoning her mind against me. I did everything I could to be in CIA's life during those high school years, but she was living with Abigail full-time, who was making me out to be the villain. Eventually, CIA just stopped wanting to see me and wouldn't come over on my weekends. When she turned 18, she cut contact completely. I tried for years to reach out, but she blocked me everywhere, and Abigail gave me zero info on how CIA was doing. I sent birthday cards and Christmas gifts for years, but I never knew if she got them because she never responded. It felt like shouting into a void. I started to wonder if I should just let her live her life without me, since that seemed to be what she wanted. When CIA turned 21, she reached out and wanted to meet. I was over the moon with excitement. When we met, she apologized for cutting me off, admitting that she was angry and confused and that Abigail told her lies. We started to rebuild our relationship, and it was tough because there was so much hurt and distrust. I thought we were making progress, and I was thrilled to have her back, even if things weren't perfect. So when people say I abandoned her, that's just unfair. I tried hard, but Abigail made it impossible, and CIA chose to cut me off because of her mom's lies. Since posting this, I've had a few calls from people who were at the wedding. Apparently, CIA had a meltdown after everyone left and ended up in the hospital because she couldn't stop freaking out. Dear Eric's mom called me to share this and say she thought I should know. I felt bad hearing she was in the hospital, but mostly I felt numb because I'm just so tired of carrying all this guilt. People expect me to fix everything when CIA's the one who caused this mess. Dear Eric's mom also told me that CIA and Dear Eric have postponed their honeymoon indefinitely, and CIA's been staying at Abigail's, not talking to anyone, just constantly crying and not eating. Everyone's worried about her. I know some people think I should reach out to CIA, but I honestly don't know what I'd say. I'm still so angry and hurt, and I don't think she's truly sorry, just sorry her wedding got messed up. If I hadn't cancelled everything, she'd never have apologized for treating me like dirt. Abigail called me yesterday, yelling for 10 minutes about how I'm a terrible dad and how I ruined CIA's life. I just let her rant because I expected it and I don't care what she thinks anymore. Abigail claims CIA never said I couldn't come to the wedding, and it was all a misunderstanding. But I know that's not true because CIA and I had a huge fight where she said awful things. I told Abigail that if CIA wants to fix things, she needs to call me and apologize for real, not just because her wedding got cancelled, but for all the cruel things she said and for treating me like I was just a money source. Abigail said CIA's too devastated to talk. Honestly, I'm doubting if CIA and I will ever have a relationship again, and maybe that's for the best. I'm tired of being hurt by her and walking on eggshells to earn her love. Some of you asked if I'd do it again, and the answer is yes, absolutely. She needed to learn that treating people like garbage isn't okay, and maybe this will teach her to think before saying nasty things to the people who love her. Canceling the wedding was extreme, but so was her behavior. It's okay to stand up for yourself when someone's treating you badly, even if that someone's your kid. Update 2. Things have only gotten crazier since my last update, and I can't tell if I should laugh or cry about it all. It's pretty unbelievable this is my life right now. Last week, Dear Eric showed up at my place unannounced. I almost didn't answer because I expected a yelling match about ruining his wedding. But when I opened the door, he looked like he hadn't slept in ages, like he was running on pure coffee and stress. Dear Eric said we needed to talk, that there were things I didn't know about what happened before the wedding. I almost slammed the door, but curiosity got the better of me, so I let him in, made some coffee, and listened. Turns out, Dear Eric has been digging around since the wedding debacle, and he found out that. So, here's the deal. Abigail and Jones have been on the CIA's case for months, trying to get me booted from the wedding. Apparently, Sia was caught in the middle and didn't know how to handle it, which explains why she was acting so off before the big day. Derek filled me in on how Abigail was telling Sia that I had ditched her when she was young and only came back around when it suited me, trying to win her over with money. Abigail was basically saying that if Sia wanted a fresh start, she should totally cut ties with me. Jones, on the other hand, was suggesting he should be the one to walk Sia down the aisle, claiming he'd been more of a dad during her teenage years. Abigail was all for it, pushing the idea hard. Sia was torn because she wanted me there but didn't want to upset Abigail and Jones. It turns out it wasn't even really Sia's decision to leave me out, she was kind of manipulated by them, and they used the wedding to drive a wedge between us. Derek also mentioned that when Sia called me out for being just a checkbook and said Jones was more of a father, she was basically parroting Abigail's words, as she'd been hearing them for weeks. Sia was confused, mad, and feeling stuck, so she lashed out. I asked why Derek was telling me all of this now, and he said Sia had a breakdown after the wedding disaster. She admitted she messed up big time and never really wanted me out of the wedding, but felt pressured. Derek said Sia's been inconsolable since then, just repeating how she ruined everything and lost me forever. She wishes she had stood up to Abigail and Jones. Even though hearing all this kind of reassured me about what I'd suspected, mostly, it just made me feel tired and sad. Abigail was still trying to drive a wedge between Sia and me, and Sia was still letting her mom pull her strings. Derek said Sia wants to reach out to me but is too embarrassed and thinks I hate her now. I told Derek I didn't hate Sia, but I was hurt and angry. We weren't sure if we could patch things up. Derek hoped I'd give Sia another chance because she was genuinely sorry and loved me. But right now, Sia and Derek are having marriage troubles. They didn't even go on their honeymoon. She's super depressed and can't stand being around people. Derek's worried she might hurt herself. After Derek left, I spent hours mulling it all over, wondering if I should reach out or wait for her to do it. I didn't want anything bad to happen to her, despite everything, because she's still my daughter. A couple of days later, I got a call from Jessica, Sia's friend. Sia had asked her to call and tell me she was sorry and that she loved me. She knew she'd screwed up. I told Jessica that if Sia really wanted to apologize, she'd have to call me herself and talk it all out. Jessica said she'd pass it along, and that's where we left it. I'm still waiting for Sia to make that call. Meanwhile, Abigali's been ringing me up, accusing me of wrecking Sia's life and telling me I need to fix things. I finally told her she was to blame for poisoning Sia against me. But she denied it all, saying Sia made her own choices. This whole thing is just draining. I'm tired of all the drama and manipulation, and of Abigali using Sia as some sort of weapon against me. I don't know if Sia and I will ever have a decent relationship again. There's been so much damage. Knowing she was manipulated does make me a bit less angry, but she still chose their side over ours, and that's a tough pill to swallow. Honestly, I don't know what's next. I'm not holding my breath for a call from Sia because I've already spent too many years waiting for her to decide she wants me in her life. Alright, folks, this is going to be my final update. I'm honestly just exhausted from all this drama with CIA, and I really want to move on with my life without obsessing over her issues. So, here's the scoop. CIA finally gave me a call a couple of weeks ago, prompting the heartfelt talk that dear Eric and Jessica had been urging us to have. Surprise, surprise, it was just as awkward and painful as I figured it would be. Not sure if we accomplished anything because we both ended up in tears, feeling even worse about everything. CIA did apologize, though. She owned up to letting Abigali and Jones get in her head, and admitted she should have fought for our relationship, especially about including me in the wedding. She confessed she didn't actually want to leave me out and that things just went out of control because she was juggling too much, trying to please everyone. Listening to her, it seemed like she was genuinely sorry and hurting about the whole mess. While I appreciated her apology, I couldn't shake off how hurt and angry I still was. I told her straight up that it'd take time for me to heal and I wasn't just going to pretend everything was fine. CIA got really emotional, begging for another chance, saying she'd do anything to fix things. We ended up chatting, and crying, for nearly 2 hours, but I left the conversation feeling drained and unsure if we made any progress or just reopened old wounds. Since then, CIA's been trying hard to reconnect. She's been sending me texts and pictures, sparking random conversations. I can tell she's putting in the effort, but honestly, it feels kinda forced. I'm keeping my replies short and civil, but I haven't started any chats with her because I'm still figuring my feelings out. I don't want to lead her on if I'm not ready to forgive yet. Derek's also been keeping me posted on CIA's progress. Apparently, she's seeing a therapist, on meds for depression, and working on setting boundaries with Abigali and Jones. Sounds like a step in the right direction. Derek mentioned that CIA and Abigali had a blow-up because CIA finally stood up to her mom about manipulating her and trash-talking me. It's been radio silence between them since. On a brighter note, CIA's marriage with Derek is doing better. They're planning a small family-only wedding redo since the first one was such a disaster. Derek even asked if I'd consider coming if they invited me. I told him I'd think about it, depending on where things stand with CIA and how comfortable I feel about being around Abigali and Jones. Honestly, I'm still wrestling with it all. Part of me wants to reconnect with CIA, I do miss her and love her despite everything. But I'm also terrified of getting hurt all over again, especially if she lets Abigali influence her. It's been a constant roller coaster with CIA letting me down and choosing her family over us, and I'm really tired of it. Right now, we're in this weird limbo where we talk, but it's not exactly comfortable or natural. I've even been seeing a therapist myself because this drama has seriously messed with my head. My therapist advised me to focus on what I want moving forward instead of dwelling on what could have happened. So, that's where things are at. CIA and I are talking, but we're far from okay. I'm trying to figure out what I want, what risks I'm willing to take, and if it's even worth putting in the effort to rebuild something that's been shattered so many times. I know some of you might say I should give CIA another shot and try to move past this, while others might suggest cutting ties for good. I can see both sides and I'm still deciding. One thing's for sure, I'm done letting other people's drama dictate my life. I'm all about finding my own happiness and no more walking on eggshells to keep others happy. Thanks for sticking with me and offering your thoughts, it's been a huge help in sorting through all this chaos.